What's going on, everybody? I don't know why I clapped, but I did for you all guys. In this video, we are talking about, are you killing your reselling business, or really your business as a whole? Because all of these things can really transcend each different type of business that you have. Granted, some situations, circumstances may be different, but at the root of it, it's the same. So are you responsible? Are you committing reselling suicide? I know that's very bold, but it happens. And why does it happen? I'm going to move this camera right down here because that's a little confusing for me, because I keep looking up. There we go. Bear with me. Should have done this before, but I didn't. There we go. Sorry. So, like I was saying, are you committing business suicide? It's very bold, but kind of some things I want to talk about to this week, and really today, is around your reselling business, and just throw out a couple statistics and just learning on things I watch in reselling Facebook groups. But I kind of wanted to talk about these things, and they really have helped Jessica and I out. And I believe if you take it seriously and you look within, they would help you out also. But just a couple statistics that the average in the United States, the average self-employed person makes $36,000 per year, right? That's not a lot of money. I mean, it is in Arkansas, like that would give you a pretty decent living, especially if you have two people working. $72,000 in Arkansas is a lot of money. If you're living in California, New York, Florida, very expensive places, that's not a lot of money. So yes, that is a very broad, self-employed business. Resellers are part of that. But just judging by a lot of resellers, it's probably safe to say that probably about that much is probably the average for a lot of resellers also for eBay. I wouldn't say that for Amazon, because there's lots of Amazon people who are making, six figures. Yes, there are some people on eBay who are making six figures really as a couple, which that would be, really a $50,000 job with two people doing it, because it's at $50,000 per person. And then also is that 50% of Americans have an average of $600 to their name, meaning they have $600. So it's really that all of us, 50% of America, is really one accident, one eBay glitch, one thing away from bankruptcy, which is pretty bold. It's a pretty broad statement, but it is so true, right? So some things I want to talk about this week is, do you have a weekly production goal as a eBay employee? For you, if you're running your business as yourself, or if you have an employee, you have a virtual assistant, do you have like a production goal? Obviously, the two main components to reselling is sourcing and listing. You got to have them both. Shipping is in there, but the two most important things are sourcing and listing. The way to improve your business the most is going to be a better sourcer, be a better lister. So with that being said, do you have weekly goals for the amount of items that you need to source, which would correlate to how many items that you need to list? Obviously, like if you live up north and you are a thrifter, like that is your main source of sourcing, and during the winter months there's not going to be as many sourcing opportunities, do you have a goal during the summer months to source enough items per week that will carry you through those winter months? And then as a lister, do you have a weekly goal of how many items that you want to get listed per week? Is it per day? Is it bi-weekly? If you do a lot of retail arbitrage, it may be different, because one week you may be sourcing and then the next week you may be listing. So you may do bi-weekly schedules. But do you know that? Do you have a production goal? And let me know in the comments if you just kind of wing it. You you don't really have any goals, what have you. I know for us, when Jessica wasn't as involved in the business, before we hired our nanny, our goal then was 200 items per week with our virtual assistant. Very rarely did we actually hit that. We really only got to about 150. And that wasn't because really production. It was because at that time, for the items that we sold and for the buying power that we had, we were really only able to purchase, 100 to 150 items per week. Yes, we have a whole storage building of stuff, but for a lot of the consumer electronic devices that we sell, those are really the listings that I'm talking about for us. But now that she is working full time in the business, our production goals has gone to 300 items per week, right? So that is our goal. So for me as the main sourcer, I've got to be able to really source at least 300 to 400 items per week to be able to meet those goals. And then with that, like, do you really know what your profit is per item? Like, are you aware of that? Do you keep track of it? Is it, I know, do you even have an inventory system or a tracking system to where you can know what your average profit is per item? I know for us, it depends on really what it is. Like cameras, our average profit per camera that we sell is going to be about $15. For cell phones, it's going to be about 20 something bucks. So for us, I know, like, if I source this many cameras, that this is going to be the expected profit that I'm sourcing. Same thing with cell phones. Like I know and understand what the profit is going to be projected for that. Granted, if we don't list it, it's just projected. It has to be listed. So with that, do you have a routine that is consistent with those production goals? Like, if you have those goals and you set those goals, like, then the next thing would be is to really, you have to create a routine that is consistent each day, that is going to empower you to actually achieve those goals. Without goals, like, you're just kind of walking around aimlessly, just waking up each morning like, I think, I'll just list how I list, and then that'll be end of it. And then, we're getting frustrated because our sales aren't as good as we hoped. Things aren't going the way that we wanted. And that's because we don't have a plan. We don't have any goals. So you want to set realistic goals. Yes, you don't want to, and I'm even a proponent of setting goals that are very easily reachable. Like, if you have problems listing and, your end goal is 10, we'll start with 5. That way, if you're part-time, obviously, if you're full-time, you're only listing 5 items per day. They better be very expensive items that are going to give you, a good amount of profit per, that will bring you the money that you need. Sorry about that. But just, I had a soda pop before, and I stirred a little belch in my bed. Whitney's over here laughing at me. But just set easily reachable goals so that you can actually feel accomplished and feel like you are improving, instead of reaching a lofty goal that you can never hit, and then you're leaving discouraged. You're feeling like, man, I can't do this. I see all these people in these Facebook groups they're listing all these and they're able to do it. There must be something wrong with me, and I can't do it. And then, for some people, that's where shame comes in and condemnation, and then you end up quitting. You don't list anything for a week, and then your sales start tanking and they start spiraling, and then you're not doing all that well. So it's like, man, and you just feel horrible and you feel like a failure. And that's really because, you didn't set yourself up for success on the front end. So set those easily reachable goals so that you can build confidence. Don't, like, if your overall goal and a month from now is you want to do those 20 listings per day, well, then start upping it each week as you build that confidence. But with the routine is that you've got the goals of what you're wanting to do, your production goals, sourcing goals, listing goals, all those things. And then create a routine that's consistent each day so that you can fulfill those production goals. And why do I say create a consistent routine every day? Is because we know as people, as we are able to get in a good routine where we're waking up at the same time every day, we're going to bed at the same time. And it's like, for me, right now it's hard because Jessica is still involved with the homeschool co-op. So like 2 days a week, my schedule is I get to work at 8 because I help get the kids ready for the co-op in the morning, and get, because I don't know if you've got 3 kids or not, but trying to get them wrangled up and dressed and fed in the morning, it's like herding cats. It's not easily doable. But then on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, my schedule is different. So like we are working, towards having a consistent routine. But for us, we even know it's hard. Like for Jessica, it's hard because she has one schedule Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays, she doesn't get to work here in the business until after 1. So like her production goals, she's finding she's having a hard time meeting them because of the inconsistent schedule every day. But if you have a schedule every day and you wake up every day, you for us, why I say, are you killing your reselling business? Because we have habits. Like when you work for somebody, you are an employee, and if you didn't perform your job up to par, you were getting either written up, you were getting talks about productivity and efficiency, or you're going to be fired in the end if ultimately you weren't producing. But for us as resellers, who's going to fire themselves, right? Nobody's going to fire themselves. I mean, you end up firing yourself when you are forced to do something else, or you don't have any money anymore to reinvest into your reselling business, and then you're trying to find something else. So that's a way of you are firing yourself. But as resellers, we have so much freedom in our schedules, especially full-time resellers, that this is your job, is there's so much freedom. We do this, why we choose this lifestyle and this profession is because of the freedom that it provides. But because there is so much freedom involved, that your freedom could actually be hurting you and not liberating you. It could actually be enslaving you to your life instead of actually creating a freedom that you actually want. And reselling is really the one. I mean, there's several out there, but it's really a one job where you really are in charge of how much you make. Like it's really how much you earn is really endless, because you can always source more expensive items that are give you more profit. So the earnings potential is really, you can't compare it to the stock market. You can't compare it to the housing market, because where else can you buy? Like you can't go buy a house for $50,000 and then sell it for $500,000 in a month. Like you very rarely can you do that. But day in, day out with reselling, you can buy an item for $5 and sell it for $50. You can buy an item for $2 and sell it for $200. So the earnings potential is humongous, but there's a lot of freedom. And with that freedom, it can be very hurtful. So as you are creating this routine each and every day, and you're being consistent with it, you're going to bed early, like you're not scrolling at late at night. Like I like to, unwind, like just mentally wind down from the day. Sometimes I scroll, and if you don't know what scrolling is, you're on Facebook and you're seeing the same stories over and over. You're reading the same ESPN articles, the same Instagram stories, the same Pinterest board, whatever it is that you're doing, the same movie, the same ESPN Sports Center episode, whatever it is that we're not wasting time, and then we don't go to bed on time. And then obviously, if you don't go to bed on time, you're not going to wake up on time, or if you do, you're going to wake up tired and you're going to wake up foggy brain, and then it's going to take you a while to get in your routine. Yes, it does. Maui Delights. It's a great motivator. It's really helped us. So those routines, an A, like it's not really an A, but just kind of a point A, is I realize I'm kind of a little bit everywhere today. I think I normally like that. I'm trying to create a good flow for you guys, but sometimes I just have all these thoughts that I get excited about and kind of I chase those thoughts. But you are there to kind of see my thought process and how I do things. So with the routines, is that one thing that we're trying to do here is we're trying to break up the work day into 2 4-hour work days within the same day. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Benjamin Franklin schedule, but he would do 2 5-hour work days where he would, get up and he would go to do his stuff, and then he'd work 4 hours, and then he would take a break for like 2 or 3 hours, whatever, and then he would have another 5-hour work session. I'm trying to do it to where I'm able to focus 4 hours on reselling, and then the other 4 hours on growing our brand, growing YouTube, doing the blog posts, because we're building a lot of stuff behind the scenes as we prepare to as this opportunity. We can't really talk a lot about it, but we have an opportunity that we are doing a lot of filming for that will be on a different media platform, not on YouTube, but on the boxes that are in your living room and such. And we're doing a lot of stuff to prepare for that, to take advantage of the situation. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm doing for that I'm trying to create 2 kind of separate work flow days. So that one is focused on the reselling business. The other is focused on content creation, blog post stuff for our website, our Shopify store, that type of thing. So with that, you may like it, you may not like it, but I know that people who are doing it, that they're able to get a lot more done in those shorter periods of time than they are if they work 10 hours straight or 9 hours straight. That you're able to focus more when you break it down into like task or batches. So like when people list, so a lot of times they list, they may list a shirt, a pair of pants, a remote control, whatever it is. But then there's also some people that they try to break it down to like where they only list t-shirts at the same time, or they only list button-up shirts, or they only list ties, or they only list remote controls, or whatever it is, that you're creating batches of like items that help you get into a better flow and get your mind in a better train of thought to where you're not having to think so much about keywords or all those types of things. So it's just really creating batches of like items. And then really with that, as you're creating batches of like items, or your listing goal, your productivity goal for that day or that time period, is to break it up into like lots of 5 or 10. Like if you know that it takes you an hour to do 5 items, and you know that you're going to be listing for 3 hours, or if your listing goal for that day is 10 items, well, then that's really 2 hours of listing that you need to do. But to break up those batches into those size quantities so that you can get a good flow, but you can also reach your goal a lot faster. And you're actually able to also is that sorry, I got distracted. I was reading Barb Zook's message and I got a little distracted. And but if you do it in lots of 10, right? I don't know about for you, but when I list, I like to know how fast I'm going. Like I want to create a process, a system that is going to allow me to list faster, because I only have so much time. I don't want to be listing all day, because we know as resellers, like the biggest components of your business is listing. You list better, you source better. If you're not having any sales, you're not listing, or you're not sourcing the right items, or your listings suck. It could be that your pictures suck, whatever it is. But those are really the 2 things that you need to do to really improve your reselling business. But doing it in those lots of 10 to where you can actually track how long it's actually taking you to list that many items, so that you can see the progress you're making, whether, and you can be like, hey, for me, it's like, I know you are watching YouTube in the middle of the day. I'm part of the problem for you guys. But YouTube is a big distraction. So like if you find it hard, to do something while listing, right? Because I know for me, like if I'm listing something and I start doing something else, I get out of my flow. So whatever those most important tasks are, which for me, it's listing and sourcing, is to cut out all distractions during those times so that you can have singular focus when you are doing the most important task. You know, when you're shipping or doing some other stuff, you maybe you are adjusting listings where it doesn't require full concentration. That if you get distractions, if you have like YouTube, whatever, like if you're able to do that, then power to you. But I would say that the majority of people probably cannot do that. And if you took the question seriously and you actually looked at your performance, you would probably say, yeah, Joe, you're probably right. Like, I'm not as good of a lister as I could be if I shut it off. But then also think about it, right? Where if you were paying somebody by the hour to do listings, but then the whole time they were listing, they were on their phone watching YouTube or scrolling on Facebook, or they were chatting with their pals, like, wouldn't you have a hard time with that? I would. And that's why, like, I try to really not do it during those times. Like, I try to really separate it and get rid of it. But I think that you would probably have a hard time if you were paying somebody to do work for you, but then they were splitting their attention amongst multiple things. I mean, you would want them to really focus on those one thing, that whether it be listing or whatever, that you'd want them to focus on that so that they could be more productive and efficient. And batches helps out. Maui Delight says it makes it really very, very helpful for us. It's a big game changer when you have batches and you know exactly, you know, you've got 20 phones or you've got 20 shirts or whatever, especially with photos, really trying to do it all in one time. And it becomes more like an assembly line in a factory, because you don't have to change job functions as frequently. And I know for me, anytime that you have to change a job function, you go from taking pictures to listing, is that you lose some efficiency because your mind has to go somewhere else. Like, you actually have to consciously think, okay, what next? What do I do? What do I need to do next? Instead of your mind and your body being in rhythm to where you're actually doing it without actually having to think about it. So it's not actually as mentally draining as it could be if you did it in batches or larger lots. I know some people, they do photos one day and then they list another day, or they have one day where all they do is photos and then they break it up throughout the rest of the week to list those items that way. And that's also a great way to do it. But I want to value you guys' time. So if you've liked this video, hit that thumbs up. Put in the comment section if you found that this was useful for you. Anything else, any questions that you would like answered. And I know we've been really good on Mondays. Every Monday we've been putting out some how-tos about liquidation. We're doing that. We've also been doing some unboxing videos that we've been filming that they have been they're in the process of being edited for us. And we're looking at doing some more content with you guys, but for sure every Mondays you can find those liquidation videos, and then lives on Thursdays. But I appreciate y'all's time so much today. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I value your time. And until next time, peace out.